After the public toppling of Miramax co-founder Harvey Weinstein, it seems every industry is looking to identify its bad actors, from Capitol Hill to Hollywood. This is all great, right? It's about time that high-profile men stop abusing their power in the workplace. Yes, of course, but high-profile, high-earning industries aren't the only ones who are vulnerable to sexual harassment. This narrative is problematic because it excludes those from the conversation who work in occupations even more susceptible to sexual misconduct. One sector that is particularly riddled with sexual harassment is the restaurant industry. With over 11 million employees, the restaurant industry is one of the largest economic sectors in the country. It is also the single largest source of sexual harassment charges filed by women. A staggering 37% of all reported sexual harassment reports stem from the restaurant industry. Women are vulnerable in just about every inch of a restaurant. From lewd comments to rape, sexual misconduct is for many simply part of the job. It takes place in five-star restaurants, suburban chains, and in family-owned diners, and its perpetrators may just as easily be owners, busboys, or customers. Servers are told to have a thick skin when it comes to sexual comments and advances at work, and tawing harassment quickly becomes normalized.
Okay, I'll be back in a second.
Isn't having children a blessing?
What?
If you're a woman and you've worked in a restaurant setting before, there's a good chance that you have a collection of creepy encounters flashing through your head right now. Specifically, there's a 90% chance. The Restaurant Opportunity Center United, which advocates for higher wages for restaurant workers, found in a 2014 study that 90% of female restaurant workers have experienced sexual harassment on the job. If that number surprised you, you probably haven't been a female server before. The survey also found that a third of restaurant employees say that the harassment was so routine that they did not consider unwanted sexual comments or touching to be worth reporting. This is because they either fear the repercussions on themselves or their income if they report, or because they do not believe that reporting the incident would result in any repercussions for the accused.
Pick up tables 12, 4, 11.
Got it. Hey, when you get a second, stop looking at my boobs.
So what makes restaurant workers so vulnerable to sexual harassment? The reasons are many and they're complicated. First and foremost, it is important to note that women occupy most of the financially precarious restaurant jobs. Over 70% of all servers are women. Typically, the majority of wait staff are young, attractive females, while the owner, manager, and shift supervisor positions are often held by older men. This common division of labor only exacerbates the social division between the genders in the workplace. The working environment in the restaurant industry, often referred to as kitchen culture or kitchen talk, contributes to a setting that enables and normalizes sexual harassment. Many servers who experience unwanted sexual advances in the workplace do not immediately perceive the encounter as harassment in the context of a restaurant setting because it is so normalized within the industry. This sexualized environment affects every single relationship in a restaurant. Regardless of gender, restaurant workers experience high levels of harassment from supervisors, 66%, coworkers, 80%, and customers at 78%. Servers living off of tips have to tolerate harassment from all angles, and the financial precariousness of living without a steady income makes reporting and avoiding sexual harassment terribly difficult. It is critical to contextualize the concept of living with sexual harassment in the workplace as something totally different from consent. ROC's survey showed that most workers either ignore or put up with harassing behaviors because they fear they will be penalized through loss of income from tips, unfavorable shifts, public humiliation, or even job loss. The financial vulnerability of servers is key here, since wait staff rely on tips and are not guaranteed a minimum number of profitable shifts in any given week. Federal law permits employers to pay tipped employees a sub-minimum wage of $2.13 an hour before taxes. This rate has not changed since 1991. Customers pose a particular problem for female servers for this reason. Since the average hourly wage for servers hovers around $8 an hour, that means that the average server gets only $6 in tips an hour. Since the assumption is that workers will make the rest of their wages in tips, the customer really pays a server's salary, not the employer.
Cup of coffee. Jesus Christ, I mean, these ladies aren't starving to death. They make minimum wage. You know, I used to work minimum wage, and when I did, I wasn't lucky enough to have a job that society deemed tip-worthy.
You don't care they're counting on your tips to live?
You know what this is? It's the world's smallest violin playing just for the waitresses.
You don't have any idea what you're talking about. These people bust their ass.
One can see why a waitress might endure more appropriate behavior when it means she can make $10 an hour instead of $2. Obviously, creepy men in positions of power take full advantage of this situation, be it a customer at Olive Garden or a sitting senator. Speaking out about workplace sexual assault often threatens the accuser's job security, even for the Hollywood's wealthy and elite. One can only imagine how difficult it is for restaurant workers to speak out, considering that servers live in poverty at 3 times the rate of the general workforce. And on top of all these contributing factors, reporting abuse within the industry is difficult at best. This is because human resource departments are often non-existent or toothless in restaurants. Managers are often unresponsive to complaints due to their desire to keep customers happy, and sometimes they can even be indulgent of customer misbehavior. Sexual harassment is a societal issue, and as you see examples of people stepping up in other industries, it makes one optimistic that this pervasive culture can be changed, even within the restaurant industry.